Now, you'd think in a place like this there'd be something worth having. Oh, hello everyone. Well, you join me today in Richard's kitchen. I've broken into his house to see what things he might possibly have for me to take. Nice computer in the corner here.
So I'm thinking of knocking through here.
Right.
Really opening...
Richard.
Oh, just a minute.
Hiya.
Christine, what are you doing in my
Yeah.
house?
Well, there's a very long, complicated, very boring story. You don't want to hear it. Have a seat, why don't you?
Well, this is new, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is.
Jamie, we have an interloper amongst us.
Well, we feel like the interlopers now.
Yeah, we do really. Welcome to Chris Dale's Gerry Anderson podcast.
All things will soon be mine, including this podcast.
Well, you're welcome to it, to be honest.
Oh, yeah. Could you, Chris? Would you mind taking over? For
Oh, well.
We'll nip back down to the pub, shall we? King's Arms.
King's Arms.
Yeah.
Bye. No, we better stay with the
Now, Chris, you're very welcome. Thank you for joining us for
Very,
this
very happy to
Pod
be here.
26.
Yes.
the Gerry Anderson podcast.
Pod 26, which technically makes this sort of 6 months in, although not by some odd
Kinda
bit
does.
of stuff. But yeah,
That's true.
Happy half anniversary to us.
Oh,
Welcome,
yeah.
Chris.
Cheers to us.
Cheers. I'm the only one with the... Oh, no, you've got it.
Cheers.
There you go.
Well, I've dropped mine.
Good.
Got a little box of paper clips there we could
That'll do.
toast with.
Should we just record Pod 26 then?
Well, as we're all here, it'd
We
be a
may
shame
as
not
well,
to.
yeah. I mean, I'm not doing anything else in here, no.
Pod 26.
Here we go.
This is Shane Rimmer, and you are listening to the Gerry Anderson Podcast.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Let's get started.
Let's go.
Spectrum is green.
The Gerry Anderson Podcast with Jamie Anderson and Richard James.
Here we are, Pod 26. How exciting. Halfway through the year, there's a full 6 months worth of podcasts to catch up with.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah, so if you haven't...
Pretty impressive. It's incredible.
It's a staggering achievement.
Nobody thought we would last past 10 minutes.
No, true
Here
enough.
we
Still
are.
us.
So if you are still with us, thank you for bearing with us over the last 6 months. And if you've only just joined us in the last few, well, you have a whole wealth of podcasts to go and look back on, including interviews with such luminaries as Lee Sullivan and David Quantick.
And Wayne Forrester.
Wayne Forrester.
Chris Packham.
That's right. As
Gary
well
Newman.
as Gary Newman. Yes.
Sophia Miles.
Yes.
Sophie Aldred.
Yes. There
Nick
they
Briggs.
are. Nick Briggs. That's
Yeah, don't worry about him.
Oh,
though.
fair enough. And also, lots of randomisers, of course, to catch up
So many
on.
randomizers, yes.
I can't
Lots
believe-
of exciting adventures
Yeah.
from the same 3 or 4 series.
So far.
Over and
Hopefully.
over again.
Well, we have started entering new territory recently.
Yeah.
We have part 2 of the first Dick Spanner story to conclude today on the randomizer. Case of
Excellent.
Human Cannonball.
Yes, very good.
Less random today.
Less
A
random.
non-ra-
We
a
know
non-random
where we're
randomizer.
going.
Yeah, there's a thing. And we also ought to introduce ourselves, oughtn't we?
Guests first.
After you.
Oh, okay. I'm Chris Dale, host of The Randomizer and Big Rat Bites on Fab Live, writer on Big Finish Terrorhawks and occasional voices on Big Finish Terrorhawks. That noise was not me.
Sorry.
Just get an email through over, Jamie.
I don't know what that was. Anyway, carry on.
What else?
That.
Oh, just that, really.
That's
Yeah.
quite a lot.
It's
Yeah.
pretty much.
And I
That's
turn
what's
up
going to be going
on
on.
other things
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, quite recently we were together doing in a hotel room.
Right. Okay.
Chris, you're quite right, although I'm not sure this is
Yes.
the best platform to reveal. Yes, a secret thing which people will hear about soon.
Excellent. Very
are
good.
you?
Well, I'm Richard James, of course. So I'm not. That's as far as I'm going to go because.
Yeah, fine.
Google
Everybody
me.
knows.
Google him. Yeah, Richard James. Everybody
Once
knows
you've
him.
got past the clothes designer and the estate agent, I'll be around there somewhere.
Oh, are you the third?
Well, it's such a common name.
no.
I'm not the third. No, not even the third. No, such a common name.
I'm
sir.
the third Jamie Anderson,
After the snowboarder.
the Olympic snowboarder and the lesbian country and western singer.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm in good company.
Right. Yes, that would be an evening out, wouldn't
Yeah,
it?
and you know, I told you I think I got an email from somebody asking for an autograph but they wanted the snowboarder.
Of course they did. Of course they did.
Just the one's fine.
Yes,
I don't think I'm anybody else, but I can have
Yes, have a look. Yes. See what other Chris Dales there are.
If you're listening, search yourself on Google and tell us which number version of you are. Let us know at podcast@gerryanderson.co.uk.
Yes. Are you a lesbian country and western singer? And you just don't know
We
yet?
may well have some listeners who
lesbian
are.
country and western singers.
Oh, I am a former professional cricketer,
Lovely.
born
There
at
you go.
Canterbury in Kent.
Good
Oh.
Lord.
Also a mountaineer.
Right. There we are.
Less impressive.
This is
somehow.
my new favourite game.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not sure that it'll be the listener's favourite
No.
game, though, so should we move on?
Let's move on. If you would like to get in touch with us to hear your emails read out live on air by one of us, do send them into podcast@gerryanderson.co.uk with your questions, comments, anything you'd like to say, really. We've been getting lots and lots of emails this week, so we'll be coming to those a little later. What else do we have coming up? Well, of course, we have Gerry Anderson News with this very special news theme from Jamie.
Is that today?
Well, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We got to the point where that is more important than the actual news itself.
I think
It's
we've
how you're
reached
gonna
that
present
tipping
it.
point.
Yeah.
Well,
okay.
it's got a festive feel, hasn't it?
It has got a festive feel.
Appropriate.
Yes. So that'll be coming up later. We have another randomiser, of course, with the
Another
wonderful
randomiser,
Chris
yes.
Dale, who's
We know
with us
what that's
today.
gonna
And
We also have the second half of an interview with Mr. Crispin Merrell.
yes,
Composer of the music for Space Precinct,
Yep.
which we covered in the previous pod. And this week, Crispin will be talking about his work on Lavender Castle and new Captain Scarlet and one or two other things that have occurred along the way, such as the Firestorm pilot minisode.
nice.
Oh, yeah.
Well. Because as we know, Jamie,
Here it comes. Drum roll.
there is brand new Gerry Anderson stuff being produced right now.
Thank you, Richard.
It's true, though, isn't it? It is true.
No, it is true.
This is a very exciting time we live in at the moment.
Yeah.
Because we've got all this lovely stuff to look back on and some very exciting things to come.
Yes.
And I'm not just talking about my sausage pie. Which we're all looking forward to, aren't we, Chris?
Yes.
I've been watching you prepare it for quite some time, yes.
Ah, the glamour. And the glamour.
But, dear listeners, don't be surprised
Yes.
when it's not what you're thinking. It's not a pastry sausage pie. It's a sausage pie with a potato topping.
Yes.
Rather disappointingly.
Ah,
Potato and cheese.
quite right.
Oh,
Crispy
you didn't
cheese on
say
top.
there was crispy cheese on
Well,
top.
I wanted to hold that back as a little surprise, Chris, but you
Oh,
ruined
sorry.
it now.
Perhaps all is forgiven then. Anyway, we're digressing
Again.
already. Shall we do a thing
Yes,
that
well,
people want to hear?
I think it might be time for some Gerry Anderson news, mightn't it?
What with the special intro?
Let's hear it.
Yeah, okay.
It's the Gerry Anderson News. That's what the script says. I'm going to say it.
Hi, Gordon Tracy speaking. It's time for the Gerry Anderson News. Newsy, newsy, news, news, news. Newsy, 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 news. Newsy, 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 newsy. Newsy, news, news, news. Newsy, news.
Who knew these guys had a script? It's amazing.
Well, it's a script. It's essentially...
It's real. Look, listen. It's not a dream. There
not
is
so much a
planning that
script,
goes into
more of a
this.
template, I think, isn't it, really?
Yes, it's a series of
Placeholder.
suggestions.
Yeah, that's the best we can do. Look, I wrote this on a broken down train this
I
afternoon.
know.
So,
I know. You did very well to get here at all.
yes, thank you for picking me up from the station. Anyway, look, it's the Gerry Anderson News.
Yeah, good.
We're not going to say anything about the musical intro. Any,
I think we'll
pats
pass
on the back
we'll
or
just pass by, shall we?
No, okay.
Let that one go.
well.
Yeah.
Thanks very much for your support, gents. Anyway, if you enjoyed the Gerry Anderson News intro this week, then do let us know.
Yes.
Podcast@gerryanderson.co.uk.
Yeah,
'Cause
absolutely.
I'm not getting any praise in the studio.
Hashtag us on Twitter as well. Hashtag Gerry Anderson Podcast, and maybe even hashtag Newsy News.
Yes.
Let's see if anyone's noticed.
Nobody
And
will.
if you don't want to hear the full version of that intro, you know where to send your money.
Yeah, should they make checks payable too?
Yes.
Richard James?
Yes,
No.
please.
Anyway, look, this is Gerry Anderson News. As you all know, Space Precinct is out on DVD and the original soundtrack is out too.
Amazing.
And lots of people have been
Ah,
tweeting
they have indeed.
their delight.
Yes.
Do you have any tweets
I've
about
got some
it,
tweets here.
Richard?
A rather nice one from Robert, who tweeted me to say, I often wonder what Gerry would have thought about Space Precinct gaining cult status with new fans. Which is an interesting thought, isn't it? I had a very quick discussion with Chris about this earlier, about how Space Precinct for me was a job that I did and I enjoyed, and it was a very formative time in my career and my life, as you know. Met my darling wife and so on. And Jamie, yes, he's pointing to himself. Yes, Jamie, I met you too.
Thank you.
Yes, that's right. And then it kind of went away. I mean, it was always part of my, life, and I often had thoughts about it, but it sort of went away for a good couple of decades, and now it's back. And Robert's right. I wonder what Gerry would make of all this madness about it being re-released, and the CD, the soundtrack being released, and there still being an interest all this time later.
He'd be very pleased. Of
course he would.
He'd certainly be very pleased about the soundtrack because he loved working with Crispin.
Yeah.
So that's a very good thing.
And especially since it was a show that was so long in development for him. It was one of his main ideas, get this Space Police thing off the ground.
8 years in development.
Finally, yeah.
Extraordinary, isn't it?
So he'd be very, very pleased, and it's all very nicely presented, and people are very happy.
Indeed, yes. Robert Monk has put the DVD set on his shelf alongside his other Gerry Anderson stuff, and says that it looks right at home on his shelf, which is lovely, isn't it? And I think that's another thing, isn't it? That completist thing. There is now a whole set that you can put there alongside your Captain Scarlets and your Secret Services and your Thunderbirds and your Space 1999s and so on.
Yeah. Only Lavender Castle missing.
Right.
Well, there was a release, but it's now gone. But we're going to work on fixing that next year.
Lovely, that'd be great. And finally, Mark Simpson Wedge, who we all know well, said that his set arrived in the post. My shadow pin badge and the Space Precinct soundtrack do not disturb for the next 5 hours.
Gosh.
Yes.
Oh, he's going to be doing some things with that pin badge.
Yeah, right. We'll pass over that.
Wearing it.
Yeah.
Oh, phew. Yes, exactly. 5 hours worth of Space Precinct music.
Oh,
What's not to like?
It was not like amazing. Yeah. So well done all, and particularly to Chris, of course, who did the sleeve notes.
Well, yes, thank you.
64 pages.
64 pages, I know.
What were you thinking,
I
Chris?
know. Just wants to start, can't stop.
So I can ask you, Chris, what was any particular favourite moments of yours then? Any little stings or little themes or?
Well, I do like hearing the bits of music that were reused again and again. Like there's that one cue that always accompanied shots of the station house. Or there's
that kind of trill.
Or there's the happy ending music.
Yeah.
And what was interesting was finding, this was this piece first appeared here, but it was actually composed later on and dropped back in for several episodes, and sort of putting the pieces of the jigsaw together like that. But I think my absolute favourite on that set, as I said to Crispin in the interview last time, is The Fire Within. It's just some fantastic music.
All that choral stuff.
Yeah, which was his family, of course. Crispin and his mum and dad.
Yeah.
Anyone else he could rope in at the time.
Yeah, isn't it? It's nice. Yeah.
Lovely
One of my favourite bits is that when slow-mo used to go wrong, there's always a kind of kind of quirky kind of music. Anyway,
Nice choice.
there's
No,
my
that's
rendition.
good. I all that kind of musical lingo, kind of replacing sound effects almost.
Yes,
Very
that's right.
Terrorhawks, in fact, in
Yeah.
that respect.
And I guess you can pick the whole setup on the Gerry Anderson website, shop.gerryanderson.co.uk.
Nice plug,
How's
Richard.
that?
You're quite right.
There might even
there's-
be some signed CDs.
Yeah, there are
left
about
over.
10 signed copies left at the time of recording. So
That's signed by Crispin and some other guy who
some
played
other bloke,
an alien.
a wrinkly old Orin. Yes. Anyway,
Exactly. Yeah. So that's the new Space Precinct release that's seemed to be making lots of people's days in the last week or so.
and because people have been so happy about that, we've released some new Space Precinct merch.
Good Lord.
Some t-shirts and hoodies and mugs.
Nice.
Alongside some new Captain Scarlet and Terrorhawks
Nice.
merch.
Excellent.
So, if you fancy humming the merch, no, you don't. Okay.
No, not
That's
right
fine.
now. But I've had a thought about merchandise. What about phone cases? Little phone.
Yeah.
How possible is that? Because I'd love to have a little Space Precinct thing on the back of my phone here. Because then I would make my phone all of one theme. I'd have a nice little Space Precinct-y kind of Demeter City, lock screen.
I would go for a similar sort of thing, but for a Moonbase Alpha.
Oh.
A Comlock style case with...
Oh, nice.
How's
yeah.
about that? I don't know how possible that is.
It's certainly possible. It's just trying to find the right things and spend the right time doing the right things.
Yeah.
There's lots of models of phones as well.
Yes.
I look up replacement cases for my one, and there's never anything in the one I have.
No, it needs to be manufacture on demand.
Yes.
Which we are working on. Anyway, that's where some of these
Great.
things come from.
Yes.
But also coming soon,
Yes.
a range of Thunderwords,
Thunderwords. A brand new board game from
range
HP Games.
of Thunderbirds cutaway apparel.
Oh.
So those nice Graham Bleakman
Yeah,
cutaway
of
images of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and Fab 1, I think we've got in the range. And they'll be across tees and hoodies and
lovely.
that sort of stuff. They look rather cool.
I bet they do.
So
Nice.
there you
Any
go.
chance of expanding that to Stingray and Scarlet? Or
Possibly.
Because he did a lot of cutaways, and is still doing cutaways, in fact. of the
Obsessively
Anderson things.
cutting away.
Yes.
Yeah, a bit like my
Yes, it's
It's a
barbers.
mania.
Thanks, Richard.
Yes, right.
Yes, possibly. Let's see how these do.
Yeah.
So if you want to see more, then, buy this stuff. And finally, oh no, it's not finally actually, I've got to insert a sad story which we just heard on the way here, which is that poor old Ken Holt has passed away.
Yes.
Ken, who joined Century 21 just after Thunderbirds, I think, and was production manager on Thunderbirds Are Going, Thunderbirds 6, and but uncredited, and then credited as production manager on UFO. Sadly passed away today, day of recording, 3rd of December. So very sad, and another one to add to the long list this year, all the people who passed away. Yeah. So very sad, but there's some nice pictures of Ken on the Gerry Anderson Facebook page if you'd like to go and have a look and send any comment with any wishes or thoughts for friends and family. I do have a final piece now, which is Fab Live, Richard.
Oh yes, Fab Live.
And Chris.
Good Lord.
Yes.
Which obviously people will have thoroughly enjoyed on the 3rd of December.
Last
They would
week.
have done. That's right. Wasn't it a great one,
Since
though?
it is now in the past.
We had fun, didn't we,
We
Chris,
did
on that?
have fun. You remember that thing that happened?
Oh, that thing.
That thing was just great.
It was amazing when it
You
happened.
shouldn't have drunk so much.
No,
That's
I know.
the problem.
No.
Anyway, so if people missed that,
Yes.
they can go back and watch it on YouTube or the Gerry Anderson Facebook page. But Richard, we're having a holiday, aren't we?
We are having a bit of a holiday.
A brief hiatus of
that's
Fab
good.
Live, as we do.
That's right, yeah. Just gives us a bit of time off to recamp and reconsider our lives and what
Exactly.
we're doing with them.
So the next one is...
I think it's February the 4th.
It is. Monday the 4th of February is when we'll be back with that. And also there's going to be a special Christmas Eve edition of the podcast.
Is there?
Yes.
Okay.
But if you want to make yourself known for that and get your message in and have it read out for Christmas,
Christmas
then
Eve.
it must arrive with us at podcast@gerryanderson.co.uk no later than the 15th of December, otherwise we can't possibly include it because of
Yes.
recording dates and all that stuff.
That's right, yeah.
So presumably we'd be having a podcast on New Year's Eve as well.
We might be, yes.
All being
good,
well.
Good mathematising
So
there.
that,
Yeah.
some of those can carry over if anyone is late.
No, don't
take
encourage
Chris.
us to be
Come on,
late.
Ignore
if you set a
ignore me.
rule, you have
Yes.
to abide.
We are
Otherwise,
very
what are rules
strict
for?
here.
No,
Exactly.
we descend into anarchy, don't we?
We are
It's
all about
absolute
rules.
anarchy and yeah.
Yeah,
Rigid,
great.
immovable rules for the podcast. So
Yes.
yes, 15th of December, no later.
Yes.
Ever.
No.
And that's it for the news.
Lovely.
It ends the Gerry Anderson news.
Excellent. That was the news. That was the news.
I'm so glad you did that.
Great, very good. So here we are on the Gerry Anderson podcast. Please get in touch with us on Twitter. We love to hear your thoughts and comments throughout the week, and we try to read out as many as we can. If you just hashtag us, hashtag the Gerry Anderson podcast, or you can tag me, Richard N. James, or...
I'm Jamie Anderson, or...
At Chris Dalek.
Lovely, and we'll do our best to respond and read out your tweets for the next podcast. In the meantime, we always appreciate your shares and your reviews and your subscriptions and your ratings. It's a funny way of saying it, isn't it?
Yes, it is, but they're all true.
Aren't they?
We do appreciate all those things.
Yeah, so whatever platform you're listening to us on, please do subscribe so that you get a notification every time a new episode appears. Please do leave us a rating and a lovely review is always welcome. And of course, share us with all your friends, whether they think they like Gerry Anderson or not, because chances are they probably will. And they might even enjoy the podcast.
Yes. Yeah. I told you the fantastic review we had from Sheila Rimmer of the podcast, did I not?
No.
Sheila and Shane went to listen to Shane's interview.
Oh, yeah.
And I saw Sheila at Elstree a few weeks ago, and she said, we never managed to hear Shane's interview because you and Richard went off talking such rubbish for so long that we had to give up. So if there's no stronger endorsement than that. If you want so much audible rubbish, you never reach the interview, then stay tuned to the Gerry Anderson podcast.
That's great. I mean, you can sort of, what is it? Is it called scrubbing, where you kind of...
Yeah, of course.
You move the little cursor along. So they don't have to listen to all this, do they?
Yeah.
Just start putting a little timecode breakdown on the video. Just skip right
I
to
am-
the
We
interview.
wouldn't dare do that.
I'm looking at including chapters, actually.
No, because they'd never listen to us, Jamie. They'd go straight to the interviews and straight to the randomizer. We can't have
True.
that.
Okay, no chapters. Anyway, if you would like to send us some nice words about the Gerry Anderson podcast, then leave us a review or drop us an email, like all of these people.
Hooray!
Ooh.
Yes, we've had lots and lots this week.
Uh,
of them.
And Chris is with us, of course, so we're going to ask you, Chris, to read out one or two as well, if that's all right. First of all, then we have one from Jen Whitby. Yes, I think we might be including this tonight in Fab Live, mightn't we, or not? Because I think she might have been...
She wrote a follow-up.
Yes, with a picture, I believe.
Yes.
But anyway, she says, hi guys, sorry this is a bit long, but I finally got around to emailing you after listening since episode 1, and watching Fab Live since I think it was episode 4 or 5.
Avoiding the third episode we don't talk about.
Yes,
Yeah.
which is great. So she says there's a little bit of a backlog stuff included. Firstly, please can I say thank you for another podcast, which was Pod 24. I love listening to them at work on a Monday morning via YouTube and then returning to my favourite moments via the ones downloaded to iTunes via subscription. She has favourite moments.
That's nice. There can't be many of them.
She's talking about the randomizer.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, of course.
That's what I'm saying.
They always bring a smile to my face and make my workload easier, particularly as I'm very busy at the moment. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Jen. They really are the perfect complement to Fab Live and make waiting in between episodes fly by. That's nice.
know.
I would love to know if you two, and we'll include Chris, I think, in this,
Yes. Please do,
could interview a character from one of Gerry's shows. Who would it be? Where would the interview take place? And what would be the question that you just had to ask them? Thank you once again for all your hard work, Chris included, in bringing fun, facts, insightful knowledge, behind the scenes, interesting interviews, bringing everyone together and growing a Fab fan community, and introducing new and old shows to everyone. I hope Firestorm is a tremendous success and that both the podcast and Fab Live go from strength to strength. Anyway, keep up the good work and I'll see you guys for the Fab Live Christmas special. Yeah, which will be happening, well, this evening
Will have
for us.
seen
Last week. Would have happened.
Last week.
Yes.
Ah.
Right, thank you, Jen. Lovely email. So, who would you want to interview from the Gerry Anderson universe? Where would the interview take place, and what would that question be?
Well, shall I start?
Come on, Chris.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think I mentioned in a randomizer not too long ago that I doubt the medical qualifications of Dr. Helena Russell.
Oh.
So I think I would like to have a sit-down talk with her.
Right.
Just really establish what it was that she actually is qualified in, because I'm not convinced it's space medicine or whatever she would say. I've been watching the second series of Space 1999 just a few weeks ago, and there's lots of moments where I'm thinking, no, you're not qualified at all, are you? So go to Moonbase Alpha, have a look round, fly on an eagle, which I've done before, obviously. And then just sit down with Helena and say, come on, come clean,
Well,
just between the two of us.
More of an interrogation than a chat.
Well,
You okay? Jamie?
Well, it seems too easy an answer, but Jeff.
Oh, yeah.
I want to talk to Jeff Tracy, and and obviously we'd probably do that by the pool.
Yeah.
Assuming no Thunderbird 1 launches were imminent.
Yes.
But I want to know his motivation and what the man is really like, because he's got the sort of the patriarch role down to a T, but we never expose what really happened.
Okay.
What happened to his wife?
Yeah.
Why did he set up? How did he set up? How did he keep it a secret?
Yeah.
There's so much to find out.
Interesting.
What about you, Richard?
Well, I would revisit one of my favourite episodes of Space Precinct called Predator and Prey. And I would actually like to visit the Taunt nightclub, where I would ask Officer Jane Castle if she still has that outfit that she's wearing when she's dancing. Yeah.
With the feathers and stuff.
That's the one.
Yeah.
And if she did, I'd ask her to wear it for me.
Thank goodness Charlotte isn't here. Hope Charlotte doesn't listen to the podcast.
I would assume that Haldane has somehow acquired
You think
that.
so? Yeah.
And is wearing it right now.
He's got her skirt. That is Space Precinct canon.
He's what?
He's got the bottom of her dress from Illegal.
What do you mean he still has it?
Well, he took it home with him.
Did he?
Yeah.
Dirty scoundrel. Gosh, well, there we go.
Thank you. What a great question. That's lovely. Thank you very much.
And we get
Thanks,
some
Jane.
good answers, I think.
I think so, yes, absolutely, yeah.
Well done, gang.
Over to you, Jamie.
Oh, yeah, I've got one from Jay, who has all sorts of AKAs that I will try and cover at the end.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Jay says, I love what you're doing with the podcast, and it makes the Monday commute something to look forward to.
Hooray.
Hooray indeed. From the merchandising angle, I've had an idea which I'm trying to sketch without success. Let me paint a picture in words. In essence, it's the skydiver string vest uniform, only without the string element. We would have a generalised skin tone background and lighter foreground with a diagonal string arrangement. Around the collar and sleeve trim would be a contrasting shade, as per the actual costume worn by the actors in the show. Naturally, there would be the shadow emblem on the left chest.
Obviously.
So we'd have a string vest without having to have the string vest. I hope that worked as an explanation. If it didn't, I'll send you sketches, but I decided to spare you the pain this time. It goes without saying that I claim no ownership of the idea or rights whatsoever. All the best, Jay.
Well, we have that in writing. That's good.
Yep. _time_being on Twitter, Morty Vicar on Facebook, and Seasonal Norm on Instagram.
Seasonal Norm. Love it.
Jay, I love that you have all those different personas.
Yes. Yeah, it's interesting.
But
isn't it?
thank you for the suggestion. Yeah.
That's very good.
I mean, the string vest thing is interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know about the logistics of printing something like that, but
I'm wondering about the logistics of having, because on the men's ones you
Yeah.
could see their chest hair, and on
Yes.
the ladies you could see other things. And
Would you need a generic kind
you'd
of
maybe
male
need
body?
a male one and a
I
female
mean, I'm happy
one.
to
or...
assist if you need a wriggling torso.
Oh yeah.
To level around. What are you laughing at?
I just got a cough.
Okay.
Sorry.
On the subject of merchandise, I've been looking recently for a Space 1999 top just to wear about the house.
Have you?
But one with the with the coloured arm.
Yes.
Oh yes.
Why are they not available as a kind of a
Well,
thing?
it's on our list of things to do.
Oh, well, come on then.
But they're actually difficult to make when you don't have a symmetric pattern.
Yeah.
And where you have something on a
Yeah,
one
sure.
arm or whatever. So
Yeah.
it's on the list.
Yeah.
Because we had the spacesuit one already.
Yes,
a very
Yes.
nice shirt.
that's right.
Yeah, although that was a transfer, so it was a bit of
It's
a
a bit
nappy
hard to
on the
wear,
front.
yeah, because it makes a lot of noise. But
Yeah.
it's-
But we've had it. So
Yeah.
yes, we're investigating it. And if you would like one of those,
I would.
then email, not you.
I will. Oh, sorry.
If you, dear listener, would like one of those, then email us podcast@gerryanderson.co.uk.
Yes.
Because the more requests we get for these things, the
Yeah.
merrier, and the more likely they're to happen sooner.
I mean, who wouldn't want one of those?
And if you're particularly taken with the string vest idea, then let us know that too. Thank you, Jay. Over to you, Chris.
Yes, I've got one from Keith Bowman. He says, "Oh, hello again.
Oh, hello.
Hello, Keith.
First of all, I want to say what a thrill it was to hear my email read out on the podcast.
Double thrill now.
Yes.
Now to the business of my socks being blown off.
Right, okay, that's
This is a job for international rescue, possibly. Jamie casually mentioned that his dad's puppet shows, not to mention 2 Thunderbirds films and Doppelganger, were created in the span of just 10 years. That is amazing and completely mind-blowing when you factor in the high calibre of that output.
Very true.
The second time my socks were blown off was watching the Firestorm episode. It surpassed the hype.
Gosh.
Everyone involved in the production should be immensely proud. Yes. It was great to share with my 8-year-old son Miles, who loved it as well.
Yeah.
I am so happy to hear it will go to series, and I can't wait to own it on DVD/Blu-ray. I don't know if he's he's going to buy both.
Yeah,
presumably.
of course he will.
Quite right too.
Yes.
That's true support.
Yeah.
Keep up the great work with the podcast. Having a brand new episode every Monday really does take the edge off the start of another long work week. Best, Keith. P.S. Some merch I would love to see
Yes.
would be trade paperback reprints of the TV21 comics, especially the work of the legend Mike Noble. Unfortunately, we didn't get to enjoy his talent here in the States, and it would be a great way to share his illustrations with the world.
Agreed.
Thank you, Keith. Nice.
Yeah.
Print would be cool, wouldn't it?
Yeah, is that possible? How would you go about that?
Yeah, no, we could do that.
There are some collections of the strips, I think, still in print, but
Yeah, I've seen some. You can get some
nice to get some
personalised
more-
ones, can't you?
probably,
Currently.
yeah. It'd be nice to
Anyway,
get something more complete.
we can certainly add that to the ever-growing list of
Yeah.
potential merch.
Some of them
Are you
were
writing these
actually,
No.
Oh, well,
Now, of course, I'm writing them down.
some of them were actually on the BBC. There's an auction show on BBC afternoons. I think Make Me a Dealer it's called, where members of the public are roped into trying their hands at antique dealing. And somebody did buy a set of the Century 21 Reynolds and Hearn reprints and was trying to flog them off. So
Nice.
Invasion in the 21st Century was on the BBC quite recently.
Missed
and
that.
some other Thunderbirds things as well. I think they only sold for about 15 quid in the end.
Oh.
But, yeah.
shame.
Shame.
But still, it's keeping the
Keeps it
keeping
all
the memory
alive.
out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dear Jamie and Richard.
Is
Now-
that another one for you, Richard?
Yeah, this is from Spyros. Could you reveal if you've signed up a toy manufacturer yet to make the Firestorm toys? And who is it? And if you have, will they be showing them at the Toy Fair in January 2019? Regards, Spyros.
Well,
That's a bit early days, really,
it
isn't
is a bit early days, Sparrows. So I can't reveal that information.
No. No.
That's about the long and short of it.
I mean, I think it's safe to say one would imagine, from my point of view, that with such a series there would be some sort of merchandise
It is a
available in
very
the fullness of
popular
time.
question. People are asking that a lot on Facebook.
Yes.
After, I missed the Kickstarter, how can I get involved?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's the
And
other one, isn't it?
when are you going to make it? Please make it. Hurry up and make it.
Yeah.
We want to see it now.
Yeah.
Yes, we know.
We're working
It's
on
coming.
it, all right.
Yeah.
No, that's lovely. It is lovely to hear. But of course, there will be toys. There will be toys and collectibles galore. And we are actually talking to. Normally, as this series things go, you have a series and then a small break probably before the merchandise came out, and that would then tie in with season 2 or the second part of the long season, just to give the toy manufacturers some comfort that it's been
It's
well
out
received
there.
and
Yeah.
it's kind of the show acts as advertising for the toys. So bear in mind we're only starting production in 2019. It's going to be a while, but we are looking at making stuff available sooner for collectors because we know there are a lot of eager fans out there, and we would love nothing more than to please you with a plethora of merchandise.
Yeah, great.
So sit tight, but no
Yes.
names can be revealed.
There is always
as
that
yet.
magic moment, the right moment of timing when you have to bring out these toys. I remember the Terrorhawks ones were on the shelves something like 6 months before the show even aired.
Right, how strange.
And then when the show did air, they'd been taken off the shelves because they weren't selling, so nobody could get hold of them.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
the magic moment, and
Yeah.
this is not quite it yet.
If you get it wrong, then
No more toys.
yeah, exactly. So we've got to get it right, and we will get it right.
Yes.
We've got some audio messages,
Yes,
haven't
we have 2 audio messages.
Yeah, how long is rather like London buses, isn't it?
Yeah.
You don't see one for ages, and then 2 come along.
2
at once.
come along at
Yeah,
once.
it's true.
Yeah. So shall we listen to the first one?
Yes, this is from.
Hayden Gribble.
Now, Hayden's been promising
Hayden.
for ages to send us an audio file. He follows me on Twitter. I think he probably follows you as well, Jamie, and probably you, Chris.
Probably.
Yes, and if he isn't,
If
then
he
he
doesn't,
should be
then-
following you.
oh, yes,
Absolutely
we'll have
right.
words.
So this is the first one from Hayden.
Hi guys, this is Hayden Gribble here. Just thought I'd just check in with you and just say how much I'm enjoying the podcast. Captain Scarlet was the big one for me. That was the biggest programme, I'd say, in my life up until probably about the age of 6. Captured my imagination straight away. I'd always been interested in Stingray and Thunderbirds, but Captain Scarlet was the real deal for me. And I'm really not sure why, because when you look back now, it was a hell of a lot darker. And my grandparents actually loved all of your dad's stuff, Jamie. They sat down with my father and his little brother in the early 60s, all the way through. I think they watched all of them from Four Feather Falls all the way through to Space 1999. Special memories handed down, and special memories of watching them with my grandfather and my father as well. He never lost his enthusiasm for your father's shows. It'd be nice to see a Stingray Blu-ray at some point. That'd be great if that came out soon. And I'll save up for a Joe 90 box set when all those volumes are out too. But yes, Captain Scarlet was the one for me, and it was the overwhelming favourite until I discovered Doctor Who in late May 1996. That'll be a significant date to you Who fans listening. And I just wanted to say thank you very much, obviously, to your father for all the happy memories I have and how it inspired me going forward. I've gone into writing, I've written about Doctor Who, I've written my own novels as well on my own character I'm developing, Captain Random, and I know they both share the name Captain in their title, but that's where the similarities end. But the storytelling and the character and the music as well, and of course the explosions, they're all an influence. And I think if I hadn't have watched that repeat run of Captain Scarlet all the way back in 1993, life would be very different and very dull today. Keep up the good work, chaps. Hope to meet you someday, and till then, thank you very much.
Thanks, Hayden.
So nice, Hayden. What
Yeah.
lovely memories of growing up with Gerry
Exactly,
Anderson's
yeah.
stuff. Isn't that great?
Yeah, and that it's inspired him to go on and create his own characters.
Yeah, well, we love that.
As with so many
Yeah.
people who've been inspired to go
Yeah.
and create stuff or go into the sciences and that kind of line of
Absolutely.
work, or even into film and TV.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. So
Yeah.
Captain Random, though.
Yes.
Do you think
Got a
that's
nice ring to it.
inspiration from beyond Anderson?
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's good. Thank you very much for that, Hayden. We
Yeah.
love to hear your audio messages. They're quite easy to do. Just pop them on your phone and email them to us at podcast@gerryanderson.co.uk, just like our next listener.
Hi there, Jamie and Richard, the dynamic duo of the podcasting universe, as I now like to refer to you both as. Mark here from Cumbria, regular listener since Pod 1. I just wanted to let you know it's Monday evening. I'm out in the online grocery van, delivering people shopping, listening to Pod 24. So normal service is being resumed this week, thank God. Thank you for taking the time to read out some of my recent emails and tweets on the podcasts. I noticed you haven't had any voice messages left for a while, so I'm just on my break at the moment and thought I'd take a couple of minutes to send you one in. What the hell? I've just listened to the Mike Noble conversation you've just had. Obvious sad news about his passing. Thoughts go out to his family and everyone involved with him. He's obviously worked very hard on the Gerry Anderson projects over the years, so sad news about that. Like I said, I'm sat here in Thunderbird 2, as I like to refer to the van as sometimes, which if you think about it, they do have some similarities. I'm constantly coming to the aid of people who can't make it to the shops, so I'm coming to their rescue every week. I have the Barry Gray soundtracks on my iPod, and I quite often put them on and pretend to be Virgil Tracy driving around at the wheel of Thunderbird 2. Very sad, I know, 32-year-old man driving around pretending to be Virgil Tracy. But hey, I love Thunderbirds and Gerry Anderson, obviously. I'll hopefully be joining you for Fab Live this month, as you know the reason I couldn't make the show on the 5th. The fireworks were amazing, by the way, so apologies about that. If either of you are ever in Cumbria, please don't hesitate to get in touch, as I'd love to sit down with you both and buy you a beer or two and just shoot the breeze and have a general conversation. Maybe even record some stuff for the podcast if that would interest you. Great news on the Firestorm going into production. The pilot episode was amazing, but I cannot wait for the first full episode. It's going to be incredible. Well done. Congratulations on all the hard work. I just wanted to let you know I have emailed a few broadcasters trying to get the word out there, so as requested by you guys. I'm going to get back to the podcast now. Chris Dale and the Randomizer. Let's see what's in store this week. Hopefully no more Joe 90 and maybe a Thunderbird episode. Thanks, guys. Look forward to Pod 25 next week.
Quick, Mark!
Come on!
Go back to get groceries. There's people waiting.
They're
depending on you.
Yeah, talking to us. You should be out there delivering people's milk and cheese and bran flakes.
Remember the code of international rescue? Because I don't.
Oh, I thought you were leading into it.
Not to give up at any cost.
Yes.
I do remember.
Yeah. Thank you, Mark.
Thank
what a
you,
lovely,
yes.
lovely message from Thunderbird 2 there. That's
it
great.
was lovely.
And I think we might well take you up on your offer for a beer or two if ever we're in Cumbria. Eh?
Yeah, or two.
Yeah. I like the way he called us a dynamic duo, Jamie. Well, Chris, but you're not a regular. No, it's
Okay, well, he did say nice things about the randomizer.
He'd said very nice
Yes.
things, as
Yes.
lots of people do, indeed.
Yes.
So yes, thank you for that. We love your audio messages. Do send them in, and any other emails that you'd like us to read out, any questions or queries or comments about anything from the Gerry Anderson universe, you can pop them in an email and send them to podcast@gerryanderson.co.uk. We will do our very best to read them out and answer your questions, won't we, Chris?
We will
You're
indeed,
particularly
yeah,
good at
well,
that,
you
aren't you?
will. Yeah.
No, but we'll come to you if we
Oh,
can't
yeah,
answer them.
yeah.
Also, you can hashtag us on Twitter, Gerry Anderson Podcast. We will read your tweets, and of course, don't forget to rate us, review us,
and
subscribe, share,
yeah.
and all that stuff.
Richard was doing very elaborate hand gestures, super flamboyant. It was lovely.
Thank you so much.
Now, we are already way over time.
Oh, well, we
because
better
we've
hurry
been
up then.
Talking nonsense
Yeah.
and making weird
Well,
noises.
that's just you.
So, thank you very much. So, Chris,
Yes.
since you do
handing
it,
over to me
do you
now?
want to introduce you talking about
Yeah.
things that you've done
The
for care of
the
you?
second part of my interview with the wonderful Crispin Merrell, recorded at his house a couple of weeks ago. Last week we heard how Crispin got involved with Gerry Anderson, the musical side of the Gerry Anderson world, by working on Space Precinct. And when we left, Space Precinct had just finished, and now as we start part 2, we're going over to the beginnings of Lavender Castle and Crispin's involvement with that, and new Captain Scarlet, and one or two other things along the way. Should we do that now?
Why
Yes,
not?
please.
Yes. Okay, go.
He really liked and liked the sound I was developing, and sure, it would have been lovely to have written another series for Space Precinct, but I felt that I had I think I felt at the time that I'd done enough to impress Gerry and sort of secure my place for any other future productions he was going to be involved with. I felt that at the time, yeah.
And that was justified within, what, a year or so of Precinct going with Lavender Castle have come along?
Lavender Castle came in 1997. So I think there was that sort of that limbo period of time where I was writing library music and other productions as well for various television projects. But when Lavender Castle came along, and Gerry showed me the illustrations by Rodney Matthews, I was really excited because it looked superb, and so that gives you real feeling of something new, of a real inspiration to work on new sounds and develop different ideas. So with every show that Gerry produced, there was always something different about it that you could feel, you could enhance or you could get into, and I enjoy that aspect of any project. I want to make it sound and feel different to the one that I've been working on prior to that. And I think you'll agree that Space Precinct and Lavender Castle and New Captain Scarlet have an identity in the music. So I continue to achieve that. So I'm not going to rest on my laurels and say, oh, well, because I did this, then he's going to love it. But I think there's still an element of, if I mess up, then I better watch my step, you know. So I think it's good to keep myself on the ball and not to assume. But I did enjoy working on it. And I think I would have enjoyed working on many more episodes of Space Precinct.
Well, Lavender Castle, unfortunately, isn't a series that I'm too familiar with. I think when it was first on, I would have been coming home from school on the bus at 20 to 4 or something odd that it was on. Even though I've got the DVDs, I've only seen 1 or 2 episodes. But the thing that stands out with the music on that is it just feels so happy. It just feels so light and fun. Obviously, there are sort of serious moments, but it's not sort of like Space Precinct ends with the end of Death Watch. That's potentially the end of the world. And then we go from that to the paradox, and everything is just happy and lovely. Was that sort of a conscious decision to move away from what you'd done before, or was that just the best fit for the material you were working with?
No, absolutely. That was very much at the forefront of things. I wanted to make sure that I pleased Gerry and Rodney Matthews, who I think at the time was a born-again Christian. So I wanted to make sure that it was relatively family friendly without getting too dark, especially certainly not as dark as Space Precinct or later to become Captain Scarlet. So I had to sort of monitor it quite carefully and sort of put a threshold and in the music to say, well, it can't get too dark because this is for children. And this is for young children. I don't really want to frighten the poor creatures. I mean, I just want to make sure that they're enjoying it. So there is a tendency to create more of an optimistic feel to the series, and I did enjoy that aspect to it as well. It was quite challenging not to get too dark at places because some of the characters do some rather extraordinary things, especially Dr. Agon. But I think I sort of delivered the right sound for that because I was consciously aware that I didn't want to get too dark or too dramatic. I just wanted to make sure that it made it exciting and had a happy vibe to it, because it's a utopian quality to it as well. It's that feeling that there is an outside force which is protecting people. Should the worst happen, that there's always this light which draws them back to remind them that they are loved, and there is this sense of well-being.
It's a very good message for a children's show.
It is. Yeah. I loved it. Yeah. Really, really good. So yes, I was consciously aware of that, and I made sure that I kept it within a certain boundary, and I think it works. Yeah.
Have you? I'm asking this question in relation to Lavender Castle, but it also applies to the other 2 shows. Were you sort of tempted to compose themes for individual characters? Like you say, Dr. Agon, he's quite sinister. He has this sinister music to go with him. Was that something you wanted to do with any of the others?
Yes, yeah.
So Squeak a Lot or...
Well, speaking of Dr.
Sproggle.
Agon, yes, I'd made a conscious effort to do that. And his theme comes in and goes out at key points, especially when he's lording it over other people and making sure that people are aware of just how powerful he is and how awesome he is. There's these sort of themes reoccur, and other characters like Sproggle has a sound. I'm not too bothered whether characters have a theme as long as they have a kind of identity that works. So it could be a sound effect, or it could be a melody, a motif. So Captain Black has this kind of dark, sinister, low quality to it, and it is a melody, but it's kind of low key. Captain Scarlet's theme, as was played in the main theme, so whenever he does something heroic, that comes in. The Angels had a theme as well, which was played every time they launched, I think. And yes, as I said, with Space Precinct, there were certain characters, like the snake had a kind of a weird sounds I would use for that. Although, some of them have melodic themes, like Vachel, for instance. He had a theme, and I wanted to make sure that it was a sound that people were not too familiar with. And so that was interesting to develop something which didn't sound synthetic, but sounded organic and had that quality to it, where you could identify a character and maintain that sort of quality throughout. So I liked developing melodic lines if there was space to do so, because often you find that there's, the more condensed an episode is, the less time you have to develop a melody. So I was very aware that melodies could work best around 5 seconds long, 6 seconds long, and as long as you sort of tightly rein it in, you're okay. Because sometimes I'd put the melody in, and then the character would come in with a line which was quite important, and I had to dip the melody, and so you're really aware of that. So then I'd speed it up to make sure the whole phrase got in before he says that line.
Otherwise nobody knows where they are.
That's right.
Speaking of Vachel there, going back to Space Precinct for a moment.
Yes, yeah.
That Seek and Destroy, not one of the greatest episodes. As soon as you said the name, I instantly thought of people being attacked by Muppets.
Yeah.
Were there moments on Space Precinct, and I have a feeling it would only be Space Precinct, where you're looking at the visuals and thinking, oh God, I've got to make this convincing, and it's a little hand puppet snapping away at people, but I've still got to do the best job.
Yeah.
Was that the only moment like that, or were there other moments where you're thinking, oh gosh, the visuals on this are not supporting what I'm trying to do?
There are times when you know that a scene is going on for quite a bit too long, and how can you make more of this? And there are. It's actually the silent moments. It's when people aren't doing much, or they're not engaged in any way. And those are the scenes often that I'm called upon to do what I do. But so if there's plenty of action and lots of effects, then really the music plays second fiddle. But if there are long pauses between characters, especially when you're trying to establish a particular, not identity, but certain moments, there's going to be a sense of tension or drama. You've got to be. I am quite aware of the sounds that I have to write for scenes like that, because I know that it needs a lot of help. Some of the sequences are real corkers, aren't they?
Yeah, that Muppet is just something really special.
Well, it had the this high-pitched whistling sound at the top, which was rather loud and a bit too loud, I think. For me, it was a bit too much, too grating. And I know we have to be aware that the dog is receiving the signal to attack people. But by the same token, people go, oh, God, let's turn it down.
Yeah.
So there are sections where I thought the sequences could do with a little bit more music and less effect. But that's just a personal thing. When it comes down to the characters and the things they're doing, I know the limitations of using the animatronics and trying to get forearms to work in synchro and make it convincing, and all the features of the face working at the same time. And so the music does help to fill in the gaps and to sort of support a character who needs a bit of help. But it's not going to save it. No. It's just going to enhance what you're already seeing. So actually it can make it worse, because you're anticipating something to sound fantastic. It does, and then it sort of looks a bit kind of Laura Ashley. Why are we doing this?
And amazingly, back in the day, that was one of the ones the BBC took the censor's knife out to, because it's too scary. And you look at it now, and it's
very tame.
It's CBBC,
very very tame,
amateur hour stuff. Going back up to Lavender Castle, then, any favourite memories, standout moments on that show? In particular episode?
Yes, the banjo, played by my good friend Paul Bishop. That was a completely musical episode, and Gerry asked me to sort of direct the episode in that way, because he wanted it to be very musically driven. And so we've got a character with 4 arms playing 2 banjos against a character with 3 eyes playing 1.
I want to see that one now.
But the character with 3 eyes has got to have the edge. And he's got the thickest fingers you could possibly imagine. So this really shouldn't work on paper, but I'll do my best. And so, but the interesting thing about that particular episode is that they have to up the ante because it's a competition between Captain Thrice and the Dank. They have to up the ante every time they play. And he's got this banjometer, which is monitoring just how well the individuals are playing. And so attached to this banjometer is this balloon. So every time someone's playing a really good performance, the balloon expands and starts, so you get an idea of, the quality of that particular performance. And so by the end, Captain Thrice plays his bit, and the balloon explodes, because it's such a good performance. So we had to make it look as though it was more impressive than it actually was.
Mr. Dank, you want a banjo duel? You've got it.
Performance before Captain Thrice's performance by the Dank was perhaps the best one. But that only went up to 99 on the score.
All right.
But you see, because they needed a bit of help, I actually sent in some scores for the piece that Captain Thrice was playing to the animators, and they put it on the show. So the score you see on that episode is the one I was actually writing. So
fantastic.
Yeah, so Captain Thrice was playing that piece of music, believe me. And when he finished, of course, the balloon expands, and then the Dan gets really upset and says, it's unblow-upable, and what are you doing? And has to part with his dank juice to get the fuel into the ship that sends them back off into space. So that was a personal favourite of mine. I really enjoyed it because I had to bring out the qualities of a banjo player, but also make it seemingly impossible to play. So Paul Bishop did more than any other banjo I think player has ever done, and this is quite extraordinary, the performance he gave. And so I was really happy with that one. Yeah,
I'll have to go look that out. It's
please do.
I always liked on the Barry Gray era stuff, there would always be at least one episode per series that dealt in some way with music. There are episodes like Tune of Danger in Stingray and White as Snow in Captain Scarlet, to name just a couple. Is that something you would have liked to have seen more representation of in the stories on the shows that you worked for, more of a musical element within the shows, like a music contests or something that the characters could be involved with?
Oh, sure. It's always lovely to develop the music for the music's sake, and so if the audience is suddenly drawn to the music, it's lovely as a feature. But I think it works best if it's pertinent to the show. If it's something like the performance that was played by Joe 90. I played it myself in the concert.
International Concerto.
International Concerto. That's a feature of the episode, and I think it really, really works very, very well. But because it's part of the story, and because it's pertinent to the story, you can be as loud, as outrageous, as complicated as you like, because it's not getting in the way of the dialogue or the effects or anything. The story makes space for the music, so it will work. Yeah. So that would be glorious to do something like that. I really enjoyed Lavender Castle for that reason, because I had a bit of say in the episode. So yeah.
So moving away from Lavender Castle, which would have ended, 98-ish?
Yeah.
Yeah. Your next involvement with Gerry is 2004 with New Captain Scarlet, is that right?
That's right, yeah.
Were you feeling... Obviously, this is an established show rather than a new concept entirely like the previous 2 series you'd worked on. Was that exciting, or was it kind of daunting? Did you feel you had to fit your music into the tone of what Barry Gray had done on the original series, or did you feel you could go your own way most of the time?
Well, it's only because Gerry wasn't really keen on the Captain Scarlet show, the melody on that Barry Gray came up with. He wasn't that keen on it, and so I said, well, what can I do now? So he didn't want to utilise the original music, and to be fair, I don't think it would have worked either. And there's something just about the originals that I love, and for that reason, that's Hawaii 5-0. There's been many renditions of it. And I still prefer the original. There's been many renditions of Mission Impossible, and I still prefer the original. And indeed, there would probably be my version of Captain Scarlet, but I would still prefer the original. Yeah. That's just the way I am. I just like the original thing because it was the time, it was the place, it was the right kind of piece to use, and there's some kind of, I don't know, ESP or inspiration, let's say, that brings a writer to a particular project and come up with something very special. And I think Barry Gray did that for Captain Scarlet, so I didn't really feel comfortable touching it at all. No. I just wanted to do something completely different and hope that people liked it, but there are going to be the aficionados, the people who really do enjoy the original, wanted to see that in the new series, and I completely understand that. But by the same token, you really have to go with what you believe, and you just have to pull it by the reins and take it to that place which is the unknown. And I didn't know how it was going to be received, but luckily people have been very kind. So.
I think they made quite a wise decision on that show not to say recreate an episode from the original series, not to recreate elements from the original series aside from the characters, but of course musically you had the timpani drum scene transition bit.
I think that was the only part that Gerry was really keen to have,
which is instantly iconic and recognizable.
Yes, that's right. Of course I couldn't touch the original because that's infringing upon copyrights, so I had to come up with my own 7 beats. So I did that, and I was pretty happy with it. The rhythm of it is quite stately, so it's a different kind of rhythm which establishes this as more, I don't know, it has a more sonority to it, this series, and I feel there's a greater depth of evil.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
And so with those timpani, I think it sort of has a grander feel, and not so much in a rush. The original timpanis had that kind of quality of this is the next sequence and we're really eager to get there. This one is more stately and has that sort of, there's not much to look forward to really because you're all doomed.
That's an interesting way to approach it.
It's almost like the news, you get these big drums in the news today. It's establishing that sonority, that feeling of gravitas, I should say, yeah.
So by this point, how had your process of scoring an individual episode changed from, say, Space Precinct, when you're doing it all by yourself? On Scarlet, you did have others.
I had the help of a very dear friend of mine, Gordon Young. Yeah, he was superb. Not only was he mixing the music that I'd written, he was also editing very intricately as well, interwoven different sounds and incorporated those into the mix as well, and to utilize existing phrases that I would use and put them into other places, more making more of a collage of sound for specific sequences. So then I could rely on him to write and edit certain sequences, which then allowed me to concentrate on other more important sequences, which I was discussing with you earlier. But it's even more helpful when you've got somebody else who's keen to enhance what it is you're doing. And he was a great help. And he would mix in surround sound as well. So when I used to go down to his studio every fortnight, nothing gave me greater pleasure than to sit down and watch the whole episode in surround sound with the music. It was wonderful. Wonderful experience.
Brilliant, yeah.
And we still don't really get that today. I mean, I don't know why 5.1 hasn't, taken off like I believe it should, because you can put the clarinets in the back and put any woodwind section, split it up and, make full use of that in the surround mix. And and have the brass coming out the right and the strings coming out the left, and they could sort of go and spin. In fact, it was the first thing I was aware of with Scarlet was it was going to be recorded in 5.1. So what I did was I had this mono sound, synth sound at the beginning of the credits, and it spins around in surround. So you got this wonderful little high-pitched, characterful synth sound going right around the arena. So it was my sort of first introduction to recording in surround. Even though in Space Precinct I was monitoring in surround, I wasn't actually recording in surround. So this was the first time with Gordon, who was very, very good at manipulating all of the sounds to make the balance just right. Yeah.
So any standout episodes again or scenes on New Scarlet?
Well, I like the Mysteron sequences. I'm quite fond of those, and any characters that so happen to be, unfortunately, under the control of the Mysterons. Anything to do with that type of eeriness, mystery. I really like that. The Circles of Doom was particularly good for that.
The Lancaster as well.
The Lancaster
something
as
different
well.
as well.
So it gave me an opportunity to write a completely different score. I really enjoyed Shapeshifter. I enjoyed what was it now? Achilles
Messenger. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So all of these episodes that the Rat as well. The one what was it called now? Was it called the Rat?
Rat Trap.
Rat Trap. That's right. Yeah. The Rat. Rat Trap. Yeah. That was another favourite of mine. Just so many elements that were used and utilised to enhance what it is you see, and but keeping it low key. It wasn't vitriolic. It certainly didn't have that sense of purpose that or positivity that Space Precinct had, or Lavender Castle. This was completely different. So you didn't know where you were, what was going to happen next. It really felt quite eerie, and so to establish kind of sounds at least which brought out more of that element, I thought worked really well.
And it is much more, at times, much more darker and violent than even the original series was, which is quite surprising for a kids' show that was going out on Saturday.
It was. They had to be very careful about the editing, because certain sequences you'd have, certain scenes you'd have this character pointing a gun, and then the gun would go off, but you wouldn't actually see the repercussions of that. You wouldn't see the the outcome. It would just be the body on the floor, and it was such a good edit that you felt you'd actually witnessed a murder, but it was so well done that you didn't actually see that. You think you see it, but you don't. So that was in keeping with those guidelines, especially for audiences in the West. But I mean, the Japanese wanted more blood, more gore, so you can't really please everybody.
Yeah. I remember reading interviews with Gerry at the time where he says this country wants more blood and this country wants less blood.
Yeah,
you have to find that balance. So by the time Scarlet ended, you have become essentially Gerry's main music contributor. You've done Space Precinct, Lavender Castle and Captain Scarlet all back to back. Did you ever feel at any point that like I'm arrived now in his circle, this is a regular thing, or were you still taking it on a series by series basis?
Well, I think it's important never to take anything for granted. I certainly didn't feel as though I'd done anything to disappoint him, so I felt confident that I've delivered 3 series which he's been very, very happy with, so there was no reason for me to think that I wasn't going to do another series with him, another project. I didn't take it for granted to say, you're going to be doing the next one. I really didn't feel that way, because, as I said, there's competition, there's other writers. He might think differently, he might feel differently. There might be a certain sound that he's heard by another writer which would work really well for a project that he's thinking about. But I did feel confident that he would come back to me. Yeah.
Because it's interesting, you've got Barry Gray doing all these shows, and then after he leaves, you have a string of one-offs, and then it comes back to you and you manage to do 3. So I think it is from my point of view anyway, you were sort of established at that point. Whether you felt it.
Well, it's nice to hear that actually, and it brings it. I think it brings a touch of the familiar as well, because Barry Gray was, a household name. You felt comfortable that any project he would set his mind to would sound great, So there's this sense and feeling that, and I think Gerry was very, very good at doing that. He would pinpoint people and look to their qualities to enhance the show in many, many more ways than perhaps he'd even thought of and saw in the beginning. So, and once people understand the way he works, I think it makes it easier for you to then adopt styles that are going to work for the project. So I was very aware of what he liked and what not to do. So, if I... And there was one occasion in Scarlet where he wasn't happy at all. He was having a very bad day. And I knew that I had to tread carefully. And I come up with a piece for what sequence it was. And he just wasn't happy. He said, no, I hope it improves by the time I get into there, But anyway, he said, after I'd sort of sweet-talked him a little bit, he said, you know what, I think we'll go with your original piece. Yes, okay. So I know that there were moments where he was quite sensitive about certain things, not because of the music necessarily, but just because he felt that I could have done better in particular parts. It didn't happen very much, very occasionally. I could probably count on my hand how many times it happened. But when he said, that sequence where the snake is ejected from that spaceship, I think it takes a little bit more than just an eerie wind that you've done. So,
as long as it didn't happen too often.
That's right. So I tend to think that 99% of the time, 99% of the time, he was happy,
So, unfortunately, New Captain Scarlet was the last TV series that Gerry made, but you stayed associated with his musical world. I want to say the first point to mention after that is 2008, the Barry Gray Centenary Concert at the Royal Festival Hall.
Yes.
How did you get involved with that, and what exactly were you involved with there?
Well, that's my very dear friend Ralph Titterton, who organised that event, and all credit to him because it was superb. I mean, really, he'd managed to cram onto that stage God knows how many instruments and how many players, because he knew that it would take such a lot of skill to produce the sound of Barry Gray, because it varies so greatly from show to show. There's so many elements that he draws upon, brings in. So the Ons Martineau, and you have drums, you have a drum kit, you have guitar, electric guitar, you have vibraphone, you have two pianos or whatever it was. I think it was, two pianos. They had a Celeste, and so incredible. And then another array, which I was actually on the sidelines doing some sound effects as well with the samplers. So a lot of the sounds that were needed for that performance, Francois Evans, he managed to really orchestrate so well that everybody was doing their part and playing their part, and it really made a fantastic performance. We had singers, we had Voces 8.
Voces 8 are fantastic,
just how many people can you get onto one stage,
and still make room for Brian Blessed?
Well, this is the thing, you see, because I'm working with sounds that can drop a 24-piece string section with one note. I've got to be very mindful of that should I then wish to perform that in a live concert. So I can't play, 3 notes, because, you're adding quite a few every time. Or even, if I press 5 notes down, I mean, that's beyond the capabilities of, of a standard orchestra. So you have to be quite careful how you approach something. But with Barry, at least he was working in that familiar setting of having real players, whereas I don't. I work with sounds which are unfamiliar, and I don't know how they would really translate in a live setting. But all credit to Ralph and Francois. They made a really special event, even more special because it brought to light the intricacies and the quality of Barry Gray's music in one beautiful, glorious event.
Yeah, it was really something special.
It was, yeah.
And more recently, you've been involved with doing the incidental music on the Firestorm pilot minisode.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, that was great fun too. Jamie was quite particular about it. He said, I want a cross between Iron Man, Barry Gray's music, and Hawaii 5-0. And I said, well, I'm your man. So I love all those things. So there you go. So again, I collaborated with Gordon, and we came up with something I think works extremely well for the minisode. It sort of has that punch and flavour to it, which establishes it again as something exciting but traditional. There's that sense of familiar Anderson about this, and I'm really happy with that. I think it really works well.
Yeah, it gives just the right tone, I think, to make it feel traditional, but also something new and exciting.
Yeah, I think so.
So how much tech or souvenirs do you have from, say, the Space Precinct or Lavender Castle days? Have you kept any of the equipment you were working with?
A majority of the musical instruments I was working on Space Precinct, yes, I've still got them and I still work with them.
Yeah?
Yep. Some of the samplers are in the loft, and others still in the studio, just waiting to be powered up again. Some don't work, and others still do. And also a challenge for me is if I wish to bring one of those pieces back up to life, or to look at an arrangement, I then have to go through a whole process of technicalities which allows me to do so. For instance, you have old formats, old operating systems, which you have to go through a specific path to bring about the sounds I was using then, or the arrangement rather I was using then. To bring that back to life and to try and source the original sounds that I used, but it's a lot of fun when you do recreate music from Space Precinct, and indeed working with new technology encourages you to come up with new sounds. So I look with great fondness on Space Precinct and the sounds that I used and the instruments that I used. I still occasionally go and create some of the things that I did then and see how it would work in a modern setting, and and one or two bubble baths that I happened to purchase when I was in Debenhams, I think it was.
Oh wow! You gotta have some Space Precinct bubble bath, yeah.
And some packets of Frosties, and I think they came out with Tony the Tiger saying Space Precinct is great or something like that.
Free stickers and action figures and such.
Exactly, all of that kind of stuff. And I think I have some of the models as well, and some of the characters that were much the same as the Star Wars franchise. You could purchase these dolls, and I think I've still got mine somewhere as well.
So coming up on the most recent development in terms of your music with Gerry Anderson, we have several soundtrack CDs. We have your music for New Captain Scarlet was released, was that last year?
It was earlier this year, actually. Earlier this year. So it's been quite a year.
Yeah. And now, I'm not sure when exactly this is going out, but either just released, just about to be released, your music for Space Precinct on a 4-CD soundtrack set.
Monday, 26th of November,
So how did this process come about?
Again, Ralph Titterton, he's been really instrumental in getting my music out there, and I really thank him greatly, dearly for that. And we've always discussed the possibility of having my music out there commercially for release. He was very interested that Scarlet should get out there first, and so that was the first project we worked on back in 2005, 2006. We didn't have any takers at the time, but we knew something that could be explored and still developed, and I had a feeling eventually it would see the light of day.
Yeah.
We just weren't sure when.
It's great that it's so much as well. It's not just a 2-disco. It's like we've got 4. This is a huge bulk of the music.
Yeah. Well, Space Precinct. Yeah, with Space Precinct, this was another project that he really wanted to see available out there for the public. Because he's keen that people should just hear the music in isolation without the visuals or anything else. And I agree. It's really nice to listen to a soundtrack, and you can don't have to necessarily think about the scenes that went on in the series, you could have your own, imagination runs riot. So I used to come back as a schoolboy and listen to John Williams' Superman and Star Wars, when other kids were listening to pop. I mean, so I can understand there is a fraternity out there who appreciate the music to movies or television series, and so it's really nice to have this 4-disc set, because I think originally it was 2, and then Ralph said, there's a lot more here, and we could make use of this. Then it became 3, and then I think he just said in the end, I think 4-disc set is really perhaps the way to go, and luckily Omar McAlpine Network said, I think that's doable. Jamie was happy with it, so it's lovely to see this finally come to fruition, finally be out there for sale to the public, knowing that I've had countless mails from fans saying, where can I purchase the music for Space Precinct?
So it's the last major gap in that soundtrack, the Anderson soundtrack collection.
For collectors, I think this is going to be a really nice and welcome addition.
Any chance of Lavender Castle getting a similar release, do you think?
Well, I hope so. I have already put the music down, and I'd have to go through it again with Ralph to make sure that we're on the same page. But I think he was happy with what he heard. I think it's got potential anyway. Certainly, I don't think there's going to be quite the same anticipation for it, but I think for collectors it's going to be one of those. This will be a nice addition. Yeah.
And if you had much feedback on the Scarlet soundtrack set?
It's been very positive, actually, yes. I think that was probably the reason why Network took up Space Precincts, because they were quite surprised of how well the new Captain Scarlet was received. So that's sold quite a few, so, they were happy with Space Precinct to go ahead. Yeah.
And it makes a nice companion to the new DVD set as well, of course.
Yeah, I think so.
At the same time.
Yes. Yeah.
I think we are just about done. If I just check my little notes here. Yes. Is there anything you're up to at the moment that you think people listening to this might be interested in?
Well, I have my website. I'm going to update it soon, which is www.crispinmerrell.com. But there's an awful lot of potential for me, because I've had people coming up and saying, I've got a film next year, would you be interested in doing it? One chap in particular has said, can you budget for it and see what happens? So I'm really looking forward to that next year. The main focus at the moment is production music. I've written for 5 new libraries this year. Amazing, really. And so I'm looking forward to establishing myself with those, and just hoping that something will come along which gives me the great challenges that I've had in the series of Gerry Anderson.
And meanwhile, everyone listening to this who hasn't already should get themselves over to networkonair.com and make sure they pick up a copy of the Space Precinct soundtrack set.
Wonderful.
And also Captain Scarlet if they haven't already got it.
Perfect.
Yeah. Mr. Crispin Merrell, thank you very much for sitting down with me today.
It's been a pleasure, Chris.
Thank you.
Yes, I've enjoyed it too.
Right.
What a lovely interview, Crispin.
It was lovely. Yeah, what a lovely chap, isn't he?
He is. He's wonderful. Yeah.
And seemed very happy to reminisce with you about.
About
Can't stop
Precinct
him.
and Captain Scarlet and anything. Yeah.
Great.
And after the interview, he took me upstairs to his office and was showing me a lot of his old keyboards and a lot of his old technical bits and pieces. He's still got his computer that he made all his notes for Space Precinct on. Still got his keyboards from Space Precinct.
Yeah,
and
nice.
Some from New Captain Scarlet as well.
Lovely.
Yeah, very
Lovely.
nice chap. Yeah,
I bet he hasn't got his badge and his shirt though, has he?
And his gun and his comlock.
And his true jacket.
The old Orion.
Shall I tell the listeners where I found your comlock?
Well, it's in Pride of Place, of course, isn't it,
It's in
Chris?
Pride of Place, yes. On top of the cistern of the toilet.
Yeah, well, you've got to keep it somewhere.
Where would you keep yours, Chris?
Exactly, yes. I don't have one.
Well, there we are then.
Did I say comlock or multicom?
Well, I don't know. I think you said comlock.
I said comlock, which threw you up. Sorry.
wow.
I meant multicom, obviously.
Got to get it right, otherwise people will email in.
They will.
You know they will.
I can hear the complaints coming in already.
So, how lovely. So that was yet only the latest in many, many interviews you can find on these podcasts. And, of course, we have many more to come, don't we, Jamie?
Oh, yes.
We do. I can't remember who's next week.
No, but that's fine.
Possibly because I haven't recorded it yet.
No, fair enough.
There'll be someone from
You'll find someone to talk to.
Yeah. Great.
Random person on the street.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
But
great.
if you've got any suggestions for who we should speak to, especially celebrity fans that you know of, do let us know.
Yeah.
And we'll do our best to get them. And
Yeah.
otherwise, we'll try and get as many people who are involved in the productions as possible.
Yeah, which is always a good thing to hear. Yeah, lovely. And of course, if you want to make sure that you hear every single interview on every single episode, all you have to do is subscribe to the Gerry Anderson podcast on whatever platform you're listening to us on. And now, this is a good bit, Jamie, because you and I get to sit back and relax, because Chris is going to take over again for the next bit. For the
which is the randomizer,
Yeah.
of course, which
Over
is
to you, Chris.
another momentous landmark achievement in the randomizer. This is part 2 of our very first 2-part
Yes.
story on the randomizer. And I was expecting something dramatic like a Space Precinct or Space 1999, but no, it's Dick Spanner, and it's the second half of the Case of the Human Cannonball. But before we get to that, we have a bit of a recap of the events of part 1. Here we go.
Last time on the randomizer.
I was still on the trail of Harry the Human Cannonball, but there were problems. Problems with Mendoza and the mob, problems with the fuzz, and the air balloon I was in. No air. The only place I was heading was down.
And now the conclusion.
So there we go, we're all caught up with what happened last time. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Welcome back to Dick Spanner and the... Case of the Human Cannonball. I'd forgotten what we were watching. That doesn't bode well, does it?
I'd be lucky. Jumping Jehoshaphat. A miniature acetylene cutter.
This is another rather lovely running joke that this show does, in addition to Dick's various catchphrases of it was another dumb move and, well, you can't win them all and all that. Every time he needs something to help him, some useful gadget to get him out of a problem, he reaches into his pocket and pulls out something either completely useless or something that he needed like last week but won't need anymore. It's all rather sweet, and I do like, I think I said this last time, but I do really like Dick as a character. He looks totally bizarre, as indeed everything in this show does. Who keeps saying that? But he also looks very much the Philip Marlowe kind of stereotypical private detective that obviously this was aping the whole genre of
Cage wouldn't know I wasn't holding
of those things.
with a hair trigger. All right, open up or I start pumping lead.
Sorry, I got distracted there because he's holding off a circus strongman with a slice of cake that he's pretending is a gun.
That's all I needed. A punch-drunk drunk. He told me Harry the Human
What's this guy got on the side of his head?
Maybe across the board.
Is that meant to be a cauliflower or is that his brain?
Someone had swiped his tiger tail. That rang a bell.
Oh no, I don't want to see this guy's
I didn't
tail
mention
going up and down.
who
Wanted
might
a
start
brain.
swinging punches.
I do heartily apologise from the bottom of my soul that I cannot do an adequate job explaining what is going on to people who haven't seen this show. Please go and buy the DVDs. It's the only way any of this is going to make any sense.
And the big pair.
No, I tell a lie. It's not going to make any sense. None of this makes any sense.
I took the elevator to the 16th floor. My office was on the 10th. I figured it was time I started thinking on a different level.
Again, there's another running joke of what floor his office is on. Oh, we're going up, we're going up, we're going up. I suppose also the 5-minute runtime of this thing and the fact that it's not building to any major continuing storyline probably explains the fact that nothing really actually happens. We are essentially, I think we're coming up on like the start of the 6th or 7th episode, and Dick has just gone back to his office to see if anything new has happened, because we've not really achieved anything. Dick is once again falling out of the sky. I suppose since it was designed in 5-minute installments to be shown one a week, this wouldn't necessarily be so much of a problem. Watching them in a compilation like this, it does kind of highlight the slight repetitiveness of the storytelling. But it's still very charming, because again, it kind of reinforces the idea that Dick is so useless he can't achieve anything.
Well, I guess I've done a lot of falling over the years. I recall one time I fell for this tall chick from French...
Whoa, was that a topless lady? Obviously made of plasticine. She was in a bathtub in the sky.
I hit the roof.
I've not been drinking. Shut up.
Some people got no class.
You've got lots of class though, Dick. You are just wonderful. Oh, now there's a dinosaur on the loose. I don't think that's relevant to the story. That's just something else that's happening in the world of the big pair. Oh dear.
It was that sneaky Flatfoot O'Grady.
Yeah, O'Grady just had one of his eyes out on stalks, gazing right at Dick. That was quite unsettling.
Flying an elevator without a license.
Yeah, occasionally, very occasionally, the animation in this is a bit off-putting. I've always had a slight fear of bad claymation, dating back to seeing the Reet Petite video when I was a child. I mean, that's so creepy. That video even now. Usually when claymation, this kind of animation, stop motion is done really well, you don't really think about it. It's like with the supermarionation. Once you start watching it, your brain just immediately plugs into accepting what you're seeing. Same with most of the animation in this. And usually if it doesn't sort of grab you, the humour is enough to carry you through and make you keep watching. But just occasionally there are some slightly unsettling characters in this. But I do like Sheriff O'Grady, the fact that he's just this big bull of a man who never really says anything. And usually you can't see his eyes. I prefer it when we can't. Sorry, Dick just banged his head on a spinning fan.
There was nothing I could do.
What's happening? Oh, okay, it's a giant magnet pulling everybody up into the sky.
The only PI in the city with magnetic nuts. I was positive about one thing.
Yeah, there's the cliffhanger. Change again. We're now in a different episode, as you can tell by the fact that the music absolutely cuts out.
I was up for grabs.
The picture quality changes. So anyway, Dick has now been rescued from the giant magnet by a grabby thing.
I figured the big pair was a swinging city. The goon was going to screech me to death.
This program is not helping me. I can't explain what's going on because
but there was nothing I could do.
Everything that is going on makes no sense. And it's wonderful. But I still don't know where Dick is meant to be at this point.
I'd taken a flight from the stone room. It was some climb. Take two. It was Sydney's side
okay.
place of business.
Okay. Oh.
The fat man wasn't home. I decided to case the joint.
So we're not in Dick's office. What happened there was Dick just kicked down the door, expecting he would see the man he was looking for. The door bounced off the wall and smashed him in the face. It's so quick, but it's so...
Exactly as I figured.
It's so... And there aren't many moments in this program that can make me actually laugh out loud like that. And I remember this moment, but I thought it was in the next story, The Maltese Parrot. Oh, that was brilliant. But it, obviously, me describing it to you doesn't make it work at all. You have to watch this thing, really.
There was no one. Things were quiet. Too quiet.
That's a gas pipe, honey. Shut up, Bill Green, and pass me the blowtorch.
That was the sound of a skyscraper taking off. Dick is now being trailed by a telephone booth. I have yet to see what any of this is leading up to. Oh, Dick is attracting things through magnetism. Drain covers. Keep the big pair clean, kill a tourist. Okay, that's refreshingly violent.
I needed a drink.
So we're back to the Crowbar, one of Dick's other favourite places. We're basically going from his office to the Crowbar to O'Grady's, occasionally to May
I could
East's.
see it wasn't no high-flying citizen from Japan.
That was a Mexican
Another damn Mexican.
flying through the air.
Someone had sure hung one on.
Oh,
I guess I'll never learn. It was late, but still damn hot. What I needed was a long, cool beer.
that was a cactus sneaking up on Dick to give him a hug, which ended up hugging himself when Dick moved out of the way. I'm killing these jokes by telling them to you.
The joint was jumping. Made sense. It was full of Mexican has-beens.
Oh, good grief. I would say that this is kind of bordering on slightly offensive, were it not for the fact that that would involve taking any of it seriously, and we can't bring sense into Dick's banner. We can't take this remotely seriously. Dick is now in Mexico. He's gone to the bar, and inside the bar is the same Bela Lugosi-ish barman and his recurring nemesis Mendoza and his henchmen. Dick's head just... oh, good grief, what am I watching? I kind of like... I need a... No, I'm not taking a break. I can get through this. I'm enjoying this. It sounds like I'm not, but only because I'm trying to follow it and trying to explain to you what I'm seeing. I really want people to look at this show. That's what's making it so difficult. I can't explain what I'm seeing.
An hour and a couple of bottles later, I knew it was time to rush out of there.
As much as I said the animation is not always anything spectacular, sometimes, much like with the door in the face thing that happened earlier that I laughed at, sometimes the animation is so quick that it gives it a lot more energy than it might otherwise have had, and that just makes it funnier. Faster things are funnier, I think.
I've been sleeping it off when something woke me.
Now, the music in this show is quite repetitive. It's the same two or three pieces being played over and over. Oh, Dick is wearing a lovely sleeping hat. And I know the music in this show annoys some people. When it was re-released, when it was first released on DVD some years ago, they replaced all of the music and cropped it into widescreen. They gave it this just sort of generic lounge jazz soundtrack. It was very disappointing. I like
the big top.
That was an elephant, in case you were wondering. In case you were still trying in vain to follow what on earth is going on. Yeah, I really like the music in this. I know it's not to many people's tastes, but I do often find myself whistling the Dick Spanner tune. And I know there have been comments on Twitter regarding my whistling of the Joe 90 theme. I can't promise that I won't whistle anymore.
I-45 with a hair trigger.
Oh, well done, you found it. You finally found it. Good man.
The trigger.
Yeah, I can't promise that I won't end up whistling the theme tune to this because it is very repetitive. It is a wonderful earworm.
Jumpin' Jehoshaphat. It was Mendoza in all over his overcoat. And that ain't easy to say. Jumpin' Jehoshaphat. It was a fat man. Sydney Side Street. All over, Mendoza and the fat man were all one and the same guy.
This is wonderful insight into how stupid Dick is, that he can't figure that out. But he feels that it's such an achievement when he's finally cracked it. It's another lovely side to this character, that he is genuinely trying his best. He doesn't realise that he is vastly underqualified and in way over his head. Speaking of his head, at this point it is facing backwards on his shoulders, just trying to keep you up to date with what's going on.
Harry. It was a neat caper. Illegal immigrants flying dumb Mexicans across the border. Only they didn't use no airplane. The stupid jerks got fired from the big gun. I only had one.
Yeah, Mexican immigrants are being shot over the border through a giant cannon.
To this day, I still don't know how the hell I did that.
Coming right up. Stop it.
This is over the top.
Every time I open my mouth to try to explain what I'm seeing, oh good grief, the cavalry is here.
Could be.
The tank is still firing.
For takeoff. Aye, Captain.
Your engines are ready, Captain.
Why is there a obviously Scotty. Why is there an alien? And the circus tent is a flying saucer. I really can't add anything more to that, other than the fact that I think this might be, if not the whole thing, at least part of the flying saucer from Terrahawk's Cry UFO. It's very, very similarly designed underneath, and the way it's flying along the... O'Grady is still firing his tank. Yeah, very similar model there.
So I was flying home. O'Grady would clear up the mess, though he never did nail a fat man. Now he was being taken.
We've just decided we've reached the end of the story.
Although I didn't know it,
that's it. We're done for this week.
Next case.
So Dick has just crashed into the giant Marion Mollusk advertising billboard. He's back in the big pair, ready to face another case, but we may be some time off seeing Dick again. He has one more two-parter to get through. We don't know when that's going to show up, but I'm really glad this showed up so early on in the randomizer. Great fun.
Well, thanks, Chris.
Yes.
Well, thanks, Dick.
Very good, yeah. Sorry, yes.
Of course, yeah. It's very confusing.
Very few people call me that.
I know. Sat next to one.
Yeah. Great fun. Dick Spanner.
Yes, Dick Spanner. Yes, Dick Spanner.
Very strange, very surreal.
Yeah.
I do like it.
Yeah.
But difficult to review on the randomizer.
It's insanely difficult to review on the randomizer.
Because it's so visual.
It's so visual, yes. As you probably heard there, I'm... just every so often just breaking down into...
Yes. What am I seeing here?
Yes, exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
One or two absolute laugh-out-loud moments as well, which I wasn't expecting. So,
No.
yeah, good fun.
Now, Chris and I also had a conversation earlier. Now, it might interest listeners to know that there is actually a randomizer, isn't there, Chris? It's not just you sitting down and going, oh, I think I'll review this week, and I'll review that next week.
No, because otherwise I wouldn't have ended up with 3 episodes of Torchy and only 1 Thunderbird so far. I'm not going to... No, it's all genuinely random. Going into next year, it is going to be a bit more random.
Oh, right.
To the extent I don't know whether I should say this, but I have made all the selections.
Oh.
Exclusively revealed on Pod 26, the Gerry Anderson podcast.
I know exactly where everything is going to fall, which kind of spoils the framework of me selecting them at random. But, yes, I know when everything's coming. And I know that going into next year, it's going to be a lot more variety going forward.
Gosh,
yes.
Exciting.
We have the Protectors, we have Space 1999 Series 1, we have UFO, we have Lavender Castle, and Torchy will be along at some point as well.
Yeah.
But,
So
you can't have everything.
In a locked vault, deep in a dungeon beneath your house,
yes.
is the list.
Oh, yes.
Besides much else, I should imagine, that we can't talk about probably in that dungeon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I look forward to that. Thank you for the early Christmas present, Chris.
Yeah.
Of knowing that we don't have constant Torchy and Joe Knight.
No. I mean, they will be around again. But,
of course
I
they
think
will.
we can promise some nice things for Christmas. Well, someone will like the Christmas episode.
Well, that's a...
I don't.
One of you will enjoy the Christmas episode.
Yeah.
There you go.
No, people will like Christmas.
Fantastic. You can hear the randomizer, of course, in our next podcast and every previous podcast. So do listen back to your favourites and stay tuned for the next one next week. We love the randomizer, don't we?
We do.
And can I just say very quickly, thank you to the person who provided the voice of the recap at the start. And to people who don't know who that is, I'd be interested to see if anybody can make a guess of it.
Ooh.
Say no more.
There you go.
Mystery.
Yes, very good. We do have some tweets, of course. We love it when you get in touch with us on Twitter. Hashtag us Gerry Anderson Podcast, or you can tag me, Richard N. James, or him, Chris Dalek, or him, I'm Jamie Anderson. Tony, for example, said, about time the randomizer did something other than Torchy.
I quite agree, but people seem to like Torchy.
Yeah, personally, I think Marina and Chris need to get brains to reprogram the damn thing.
I think we tried that in the second one. It hasn't taken, clearly, so we need to do something else.
Duncan Wilson said, Gerry Anderson 2019 calendar. Sure sounds a great idea. Will Richard James be Mr. December with his officer or in underpants? I think that would be just too much for anyone to bear.
It's got to be Jeff in his Santa suit, really.
That would be more appropriate, I think, and less offensive.
Yes.
Josh Long said, I also would like to put in a request for more Captain Scarlet merchandise, please, chaps, especially T-shirts. Philip got in touch via Twitter. Just finished listening to this week's Gerry Anderson podcast, Pod 24, this was. Lovely interview with Mike Noble and Lee Sullivan. Plenty of news, and some light torture for Chris Dale.
I see what you did
thanks,
there.
Jamie and Richard. It got me through a bus ride and my washing up.
Gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, we did go on a bit, that's
We
why.
do, a bus ride and the washing up. I mean, we really are, giving them some sort of public service here, aren't we? We should,
Pretty much.
Yeah, absolutely. And finally, CJ said, very interesting end to the Gerry Anderson podcast this week, Pod 24. Is that programme, The Time of Your Life, I think it was, with Gerry, available in full on YouTube?
That bit is on YouTube on James Fielding's channel.
Yeah, great.
Mr. Jim.
Yeah.
If you just search for Gerry Anderson, Time of Your Life.
Yeah.
He's got some very interesting things on there.
Yeah, have a look at James's.
James Fielding, who, of course, did the very good Captain Scarlet Deconstructed on the 50th anniversary box set, which I only recently got around to watching, which I enjoyed very much.
Yeah, it's great
very
fun,
informative,
isn't
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so have a look at his YouTube channel, and also if you want to see some interesting stuff on YouTube, then look at Chris's YouTube channel.
Well,
Chris, how do they find you on YouTube?
It might be youtube.com/Chris Dalek. It might still be Zilak YT. I think either of those work.
Right.
Otherwise, just type in
Colonel White Goes Crazy.
Colonel White Goes Crazy. Captain Black Strikes Again. Colonel White's Movie Night. There is another one, Captain Scarlet Sugar Snatch, which is not on my channel, although it started there. It was taken down, but I think someone else has uploaded it again. So
Great.
yes.
Good.
And Captain
Excellent.
Magenta versus the Mistrons.
All very amusing. So go and watch those. Right.
Now we take a deep breath because we made it through again, didn't we?
Did we?
Another pod. I know, we've got to the end.
We've made it.
Yeah, all that remains is to thank our very special guest, Chris Dale. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, yes.
Thanks, Chris.
It's great
You
fun
really
to have
had
you
a
along.
choice.
Yeah, time for some sausage pie.
That's the Yuri noise there. That's the best news I've heard all pod.
Excellent.
Sausage pie, here we come. So yes, that's it, isn't it?
Yeah, see you all next week.
See you in pod 27.
Bye.
Bye.
Stage 1 complete.
Let's go.
Spectrum is green.
Da-da-da.
Da-da-da-da. Right.
No after show bounce of anything else you can...
That could be the sausage pie, couldn't
We're
it?
doing it now.
Oh, right.
That's what we do.
That's what this is.
Yeah, yeah.
And I've waffled over it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So should we just leave it there? Or?
What else is in the sausage pie?
Oh, I've got some... I actually put some kidney beans in. Uh-oh.
Okay.
Not a big fan? Just to give it a bit of texture. So it's basically your tomato base.
Yeah.
Your chopped tomatoes, your leeks. So actually it's more of a
Okay.
sausage and leek pie.
Right.
But with a potato and cheese topping.
What cheese?
Bit of cheddar.
Mild or mature?
Fairly mild, I think.
Fairly mild.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, didn't want to risk anything.
So is it just the pie, or is
No,
there
we've got some
side?
broccoli as well.
Broccoli.
Yeah.
Steamed, boiled.
It will be steamed, yes.
You're listening
Brilliant.
to the Gerry Anderson Cooking Hour, a new podcast coming
And
soon
then
to this
dessert,
channel.
mince pies.
Oh, I can't eat any more mince pies. Okay. Should be ungrateful. Thanks, Richard. Can't wait.
Well, you're always welcome. Hope he chokes you.
And on that note, goodbye.